fans, super curve, honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore eating fans, the proper human diet, which I was off of for a couple days. I'll tell you about that. Bill here. It is late in the day shave for me. You can see the sun's still out. But here in Winsapania, it's pushing 7 o'clock. I usually wake up really, really early, so sometimes 7 is when I'm like thinking about planning on going to bed and that sort of thing. So gonna do a shave, mostly citrusy and French. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Maybe not so. French razor. First thing I'm going to do is do my, on account of the Canuck, I'm going to be using my towel, my hot steaming towel that he got me into. And I don't do it necessarily the Gary prescribed way. I kind of evolved kind of a hybrid of his way and some of other things that I kind of picked up along the way. So I don't have a whole lot to say there. Hopefully I get a shave done a little quicker than usual, so everybody's not suffering. Used to be able to get kind of close to that with hot water towels and that kind of stuff. But that additional hot towel, I'm using the hot water Scuttle, again as recommended by Gary Shaves. The Dice Rolling Canuck. The soap, I'm using the very inexpensive synthetic brush from Sterling. You guys know I'm a big Sterling fanboy. Sterling Lemony Orange. This is Unumtadium. It goes way back. Probably the largest, one of my actually straight shaving mentors. Going way back was a Sterling fanboy. And he bought every cent that Sterling had made while he was tremendously active in a shaving hobby. At some point in his life, I'm not sure what happened. He had to drop out. Last I heard, he's doing okay. But just a great gentleman. Didn't mind taking the time to help share things. This was kind of pretty much before telephones, and on telephone editing made it so easy to be a YouTube shave star. So not too many people did that back then. But that is a telephone. Just going back, I was thinking about some of those guys from that era. And there were a couple of those guys that were playing with Scuttles at that time, and they had said pretty much the same thing that I had seen, that the very, very hot, there's a point where the additional heat can begin to break down your lather in the bowl, less so on a tallow soap. But I have noticed that when I might have this airy looking lather here, and then when I go to my face, it begins to smooth out and come back together again and head back to a denser, shinier type lather. The razor is special I'm going to use. I was thinking before I went, and I'll tell you about my little excursion over the weekend, where I went dieting off the rails. So I I shaved immediately before I left. I probably should have shaved when I got home, but I was like kind of too tired. I made an extra day of it. But I did a shave with my Le Chateau the 7/8 razor that I had gotten, which is a historic forging, as this is. And that is a different steel for Jacob. Look it up on the Spear Shave, Le Chateau He'll tell you some of the story about it. Apparently, this is a steel that was crafted decades ago, and these were hand forged blanks from that era. And I had noticed with that shave how unique that razor is not ground quite as thin as what you see coming out of Germany. But it does have, towards the tip, it does have a very, very thin stuff. So you don't feel quite as much the flexing in that. But it's similar. I'm guessing. I don't know what steel is. I could guess it's like the ball bearing steel 50-100. Anyhow, this is another historic forging. Okay, this is. It's marketed as a 6/8. It's not as big as most of the 6/8 that come of the more modern forging, but the blank is kind of like the current 6/8 in that it's long in its reach, but the cutting is a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller. Apparently, these were forged when they had the die set for these. They were ground in the modern times. The steel was after the development of C135, and this is supposed to be C135 steel, forged a couple of decades ago anyhow. And the die set is lost, but this has some unique things to it, and I'll see if I can catch it in there. Okay, where it almost looks like it's a cast. The name Thiers, Issard, the little Sabatier elephant, and their 4 stars, which you find on some of their cutlery, knives, and stuff. Oh, by the way, you should look at some of the cutlery. A lot of stuff goes under the name Sabatier, but if you want the handmade stuff coming out of Thiers, Issard, like the razors, check out the Superior Shave. You might find it there. So what do they call this thing? Yeah, so the stamping on there, unrivaled, fully hollow ground, hollow fully ground warranted. It doesn't say that much on the engraving. But when I was using the Le Chateau, it had occurred to me, it's like I have a lot of really, really nice kind of unique roll razors that have stories to them and are modern made stuff, sometimes from older forgings such as this, where there's kind of a limited amount kind of stuff, but it has wood, and it has it's like a laser etched scale. It's kind of like it. I should get on with the shave. I'm ratchet jawing on. I did want to try some things. Because I shaved the Friday morning before I left, and got myself a little bit here, do sloppy work. Well, I need to practice my technique. It was very common where that fat wrinkle right runs across there, to get myself, particularly in an evening shave. I think using The rich man's appreciate the Progresso. And generously getting into this part of the skin kind of helps it, as does the use of a steaming hot towel. Unfortunately, I have not committed it to my memory, but one of the techniques that was shown to me for this right here was to on the downstroke, okay, to come around the chin and get a good tightness on that and come around, which is kind of more a with the grain. Getting it pretty tight and staying on the lowest angle and coming around. And it's maybe not with the grain, because a lot of times a lot of beard hair on the chin just kind of grows straight out and it doesn't necessarily really have a grain to it. But that's one of the areas that's always with straight razors plagued me. As an area that I get cut, I kind of do like. I've said sometimes that I really like the current 6/8 Thiers Issard blank. But there are just times that it's just kind of neat to use something that's and I have not actually measured this to see, but it does, as I was dropping it, it's like, okay, that doesn't look, it looks bigger than, it looks in between 5/8 and 6/8. So, for the weekend, we went to visit my brother a couple hours away down in Virginia. So, us Yankees go down there to visit them Rebels, and it brings me back many years to when I used to travel down through that area in the business that I was in. And which many of the businesses that were down there, sizable plants are all gone now, just due to the demise of the printing industry and the need for it. But making that run, it's a long lot of miles between these little towns where you would find these sizable printing operations for books, business forms, magazines, packaging, tobacco packaging, flexible packaging, as well as smaller printers that were in like every town before it was economical to have a copier on every desk, a copier and a scanner, and you could sit there, and if you wanted a form or whatever, you could have a database at your computer running off of some network or something, and you could hit the print key, and you just did not need printed business forms then, like now, like you did then. But anyhow, we went down there, and my younger brother was the one who really inspired me to address what I ate and go keto. And it's a long, long story. I've told it before about it, how one of his daughters started doing that, and then his wife got into it, and they got him into it, and he'd done quite well with that. And I've gone beyond that to where I've further restricted my diet. He somehow or another manages to be able to control the volume of stuff that he eats. I think maybe part of because he was a sizable fella, and he had a bariatric surgery where his stomach was kind of cut in half, and he can't eat as much as I can eat. Okay, before he's just totally full. But that surgery only did so much for how much weight he was carrying around. And when he had this huge stall for years. So it did this great thing for him, and he lost, I mean, he was very big, and he lost a lot of weight. And then when he further restricted carbs, which is what the answer for him would have been all the time, from the very beginning. But anyhow, we went down there, and we decided to, he's a little more flexible with his eating plan than I am. But we allowed ourselves some treats, including, wait to hear this. Oh, so the upstroke after the first time where you come around and down below the crease, then the next time coming up, you're going to go up across the crease, but you're going to get a really super good stretch down, pull that up so you're pulling this flat and straight, keep the razor really flat. And you're not supposed to get yourself. I don't think I got myself. I didn't feel a bit. I did carve off a piece of skin the other day, getting a little sloppy. For anyone who has trouble on the chin area, here's something. Probably a really, real good person to watch for this and listen to is Gary Haywood in UK, the barber. But I've noticed how he comes in low and he'll draw the skin across. For an across the grain pass. Now, if you want to really be balanced, you learn to do this one and then this way. I actually seem to do okay with this, and then do kind of an against the grain type thing. So I don't know where it started off. Maybe with a piece of going ahead and eating a piece of bread or a piece of toast at dinner or breakfast or something like that. I'm not terribly read up on Krispy Kreme or where it started or whatever, but in the areas in which I traveled normally, it took Krispy Kreme a while to get there. Okay, you see their products in cases in convenience stores and that, but you don't have the, I remember the day when you went to Dunkin' Donuts and you would go in and all the donuts were fried there, and you could look through a window and you could see them frying the donuts, or through the door. You would see them mixing dough or frying donuts or whatever. I think those days are gone by. I don't know how they do it now. But the first time I saw Krispy Kreme, and I heard about it and how good they were, yada, 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 for years. But there was never one anywhere where I traveled. And then it's not there anymore, but many of you who are aware of Krispy Kreme, they make their donuts right in front of you. Their factories, which supply numerous outlets, they have their trucks from where they cook donuts, where they have, I'm going to call it a store factory. Where they make their product, and you can look through the piece of glass and you can see, how they're cooking the donuts. They have like a tube river of grease that's hot, and the dough extruders extruding the donuts right down into the river of oil that flows along. And they have, at this particular, they happen to have a Krispy Kreme in the town near where he lives. And they have put up a sign when they have hot donuts, when they're making donuts, and you go in there, and these donuts are plopped into the grease and they're floating along, and they got these little things that flip the donuts over, and then it cooks the other sides, and then a conveyor picks it up and carries it directly under the waterfall of sugar, glaze. And they'll go right over there with a wooden skewer-like thing, and they will, if you order donuts fresh, they will go over there with a stick, and as soon as they come out from under that waterfall of sugar that's dripping on them, they'll scoop them out and put in a box. So we the good low-carb people ordered a dozen. Okay, so my brother and I and our wives, so we order this, and I'm kind of thinking initially, I'm gonna, maybe I'll just eat one, and and then it's two, and then well, you got a dozen donuts, so everybody gets three. So we each ate a hot donut. It was delicious. It was the most marvelous thing. And I think once before in my life, in one of those, I'd been in one of those crispy factories and gotten a hot donut, never a dozen. So I'm thinking like, man, I'm eating like I'm gonna die on Friday. It was good though. It's hard once, if you believe in a sugar addiction, it's really hard coming back. Probably more for some than others. I think I'll be pretty much back on plan by tomorrow and have moderated some of this addiction for sweet things. By the consumption of quality animal fats and quality animal proteins. So I got a little bit of, I didn't bring my alum block here. I'm gonna have to walk out for a second. I'm gonna do a little cleanup right there. All in all, that is a good shave. That's a wonderful shaving piece right there. It's beautiful. It has the feel of a typical C135 Ti. You know, I think I can feel the flexing in the softer, more flexible German razors. But there is something to be said for the edge that you can get on a Ti shave piece. So let me run to get my alum block. So I ate the donuts, and then when we made a corned beef and cabbage for St. Patty's Day, the day before St. Patty's Day, we made corned beef and cabbage. And I threw some potatoes in it. And I had to eat a couple of those. But all in it was just a relaxing to me. I don't like to go away anymore. I traveled for many, many years. I'm pretty much a homebody. I like to stay home. And it was like being away on vacation where, you know, we didn't have anything necessarily to do. No demanding schedule to keep up with. And just spending some good time together. So that's one of the better evening shaves for me. I took my time. I'm at what I normally hit on these shave videos, about 30 minutes. So something new. I used the lemony orange, and I'd gotten this an order or so ago from Sterling. This would be lime, made by the Witches of Hazel and Al. And I don't know what it smells like, but it keeps with the citrusy theme. Doesn't have the real great lime smell that you can get like with what is that stuff I use? I have this other lime that's out there. It's sort of like a West Indies lime. It's like really, really good. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the Glacial Lemony Orange. Oh, I forgot to say that soap was glacial. You know, it's like when you use a hot mug, a hot Scuttle with a glacial soap. Is that like competition? So, and then I'm going to finish off with Bortaco. Robert's Bortaco talc powder. So I got some honing work to do. I got to order some more supplies. I really want to experiment with the use of lapping films.
This on the web.
I'm watching most of it and thinking I was talking to him. I really want to experiment with lapping films that are in a shape and finish with them. So because I always like to look at I spend a lot of money in this hobby on a lot of stuff to try and get what I want to do, as do many people. Many people spend much more than I do. But I always like to look for what is the most inexpensive way. And for years, and I never tried the lapping film method that was so promoted by Slash McCoy, but I did hear from many people that that's what they used, and they did really like that. Okay, and I've never shaved off an edge that was totally done on lapping film. And of course, the lapping film system was where I had heard about balsa strops in knives and had started with it at that time. But then I had noticed that guys in the lapping film honing, which was the original lapping film design, was keep everything totally perfectly flat and without introducing any kind of a curve. But the results were according to people who had excelled at that method, very good. So I want to try that a little bit more and try and see if I can get a couple of different curves and different grits and get to the basis that is kind of found in the Ancient Grinder's Handbook, where the description of sharpening a razor was described at using a more curvy, more coarse, then to finer, less curvy, and then ultimately, now I'm using 3 different curves. I have not really been good at flat until I'm actually on a leather strop. But that was the principle which got me kind of going where I went, along with tying in the balsa. And I had gotten balsa strops and I'd kept them flat. And it wasn't until, so I'm honing on a curve. It wasn't until I curved the abrasive charged balsa strops that I really found what I like and what I wanted. So, okay, this is Bill out. Thanks for tuning in, listening to me rattle on and hear about me falling off the wagon, becoming a backslidden buzzard, and eating all the donuts and the bread. And I promise I'm gonna turn over a new leaf and I'm gonna make it right again. So thanks for listening. Take care, everybody. Bye.